Netflix is a massive slop pile full of content that ranges from complete garbage to surprisingly amazing. BoJack Horseman and Marriage Story are two critically acclaimed movies that are both Netflix originals, and Mindhunter, another Netflix original TV show, is probably the best piece of television I've ever seen. But that doesn't mean it's all good. If you've been on the internet or just, seen a good fair share of Netflix originals, you know that they have a pretty notorious reputation for being pretty bad. Netflix originals are infamous for being horrible, but why? The YouTuber Friendly Space Ninja made a really good in-depth video about this, but to summarize it really quick for the purposes of this video, basically Netflix makes movies and TV shows that aren't actually movies or TV shows. Netflix needed a formula to make movies so they could blast out as many as possible as quickly as possible. And they do this more as a marketing technique than an actual way to make movies. People will see an advertisement for a movie on Netflix that stars, Ryan Reynolds or Millie Bobby Brown, and they'll be more inclined to go and actually want to watch that on Netflix, so they'll pay for a whole month of Netflix just to watch that movie because they want to see it. This formula has been passed down through most Netflix originals, leading to most of them feeling forgettable and bland. But why is this formula so bad? Because basically Netflix, to make money, they needed a way to make a bunch of movies and TV shows that were all as pleasing to the most amount of people as possible. This means no risks, no personality, no good creative writing, just plain movies, like almost AI movies. Now, what's interesting is that while this phenomenon exists, there's an equal but opposite force going on as well. It's like the yang to the yin of awful Netflix movies. See, sometimes Netflix, I guess, just kind of forgets that they're supposed to make bad movies, so they'll come up with an idea or they'll give money to a good director to make something actually good, like Mike Flanagan or David Fincher, and then they'll let that director make the Netflix original for them. This is how we got things like Mindhunter, BoJack Horseman, and The Haunting of Hill House. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen any of those, I recommend them so much. Please go watch those. And now this video is specifically about horror and psychological horror. Anyways, yeah, follow my awesome Instagram. Chances are you have Netflix and you've watched a lot on it. So let's dive into the absolute worst of psychological horror on Netflix. Secret Obsession is a movie so aggressively average that it almost feels like it's daring you to notice how bad it is. I feel like Netflix is trolling me. This movie is like old gum, like used gum on a park bench in New York. Like that one guy on Instagram who keeps saying, I'm not a pervert, but... Now, Brenda Song is in this movie, and if I'm not mistaken, she was in The Social Network. That's like one of the best movies ever made. So I thought maybe, just maybe, Netflix was on to something. After all, they've had their fair share of hits, right? But no. By the end of this movie, I was left with two burning questions. Why are we here, and how the fuck did we get here? This movie is the kind of predictable that you can smell from a mile away, but it still manages to make you feel like you're watching a car crash in slow motion. Every scene teases you, making you think that maybe there's something good coming, maybe there's some like a good little twist or something, but every single fucking time it face plants in the most spectacularly dumb way possible. It's embarrassing. Let's jump straight into the action, or at least what Secret Obsession calls action. The movie starts with Jennifer, again played by Brenda Song, sprinting through the rain, terrified. And wait, hold up, is that a payphone? Did I accidentally travel back to 1995? I mean, we're in 2019 and this woman is running from a killer, look, choosing to hit up the most unreliable form of communication possible. I don't know about you, but if I'm being chased by some psycho, I'm probably not gonna want to count on loose change to ensure my safety. And yes, I know payphones don't actually charge for emergency calls, but hey, it's not me. This movie is the one who decided to put in the little change sound effects of the coins clinking. I'm just going off of what the movie is giving me. Okay, don't get mad at me. Get mad at this fucking movie. And this isn't some trying to be like a period piece or a noir nostalgia kind of thing with the payphone. No, this movie knows it's in 2019. It's like it just forgot what the script was. Like it forgot what was going on in the movie, and it's embarrassing. I mean, I guess they did it to try to add suspense, but come on guys, what the fuck are we doing here? And the movie tries to make you care about Jennifer panic. She's fumbling with change, the killer is lurking somewhere, but it all falls apart when you realize she had a perfectly functional car 30 feet away. And instead of flooring it and hightailing it to the nearest Starbucks or Walmart where there are a crowd of witnesses there, she's just like, nah, let's try this coin-operated piece of shit. And shocker, guess what guys? The payphone doesn't work. We hear the ding 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 sound effects of her shoving in coins to get the like no signal thing. Who the fuck wrote this scene? And why do they think that it would fly in a modern thriller movie, like in a modern psychological horror movie? This is insane. Do they not even have the budget for like a fake cell phone? But anyways, we're just getting started. I can't get too angry just yet. So after the payphone debacle, Jennifer runs toward her car to make an escape, except the keys are inside the locked car. I mean, of course, that's the unwritten rule in horror movies, right? It can't be too easy. So naturally, she breaks into the car and starts driving away, but wait, why did we pull over in the first place? If she was in her car, why did we pull over? Oh, to use the payphone. That's why she pulled over from escaping the killer in her motor vehicle that goes 70 miles an hour. At this point, we have so many dumb plot holes that are unnecessary that I don't even know how the rest of the movie's gonna be, except I actually do because I've seen this movie, and spoiler alert, it only gets worse. Next, she tries to get away, but the killer, I guess, has her car like tied up to this towing thing with the tow thing, and so she just gets out of the car and runs away for some reason. I mean, I don't know, I would have just tried to remove the towing rope from the car, but anyways, she tries to run away and then she gets hit by this car and the driver of the car calls an ambulance for her, and just like that, Jennifer's awful nightmare is about to reset in the worst way possible. Enter the amnesia plot. Yep, we're at that part of the movie. Jennifer wakes up in the hospital, bandaged, bruised, and with no memory of who she is or what happened. It's almost like the writers figured, you know what this movie needs? One of the oldest tropes in movies ever, amnesia. That'll keep them hooked. Except no one's hooked. No one that has ever watched this movie has enjoyed it, ever. And then we're introduced to our hero, Russell, who strolls in, claiming to be her loving husband. Now, let's take a moment here. Okay, Jennifer has just gone through a traumatic car accident, lost her memory, and here's this dude standing by her side like some guardian angel. But from the second that he walks in, you can practically hear the dun 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 soundtrack playing in the background. Like something is so clearly off. The movie makes it so obvious. Like, look at this scene, watch this. But no, the movie doesn't want you to realize that yet. Bad viewer, you're not supposed to realize that yet. We're supposed to feel sorry for Jennifer as she's coping with her amnesia and being in the hospital, except literally everybody watching this movie is already 10 steps ahead of it. Like, it's okay to have amnesia in a movie, like the plot is good, like there's ways to do it, right? It's not like a bad thing, but to do it, you have to do it well. Like this movie wants to have it both ways. It wants you to know that Russell's a bad guy so you can have the tension there, but it also wants you to not know Russell's the bad guy so you feel bad for Jennifer. It just doesn't work. Like the movie keeps dropping these like hints, like it's so smart, like it's like cluing you in, you know, one by one, like maybe you're gonna figure it out when the audience already fucking knew the fucking twist. And so now to make things worse, Jennifer is told that she'll have to rely on Russell to help piece her life back together. Something that you, the viewer, immediately realize is a terrible idea, even if Jennifer doesn't, which already Jennifer is understandably disoriented and Russell is saying all the right things, but if you have a single functioning brain cell, you can already pick up on the fact that this Russell guy is about as trustworthy as like those Snapchat bots who claim to double your money if you cash app them like $100, you know? He's got that like I'm too good to be true vibe, and you're just waiting for the inevitable twist where you learn that he is not actually her husband. But the movie still thinks it's being so sneaky. It's at this point that you realize Secret Obsession is leaning a little bit too hard into cliches. We've already got a fake husband, amnesia, and a hospital staff that seems oddly unbothered by the fact that a woman with no memory just got checked out by some random guy claiming to be her spouse. No one runs any checks, no one asks any questions, Jennifer's all patched up and ready to go, and Russell's practically whisking her away like he's won the lottery. And just like that, Jennifer is stuck with a guy that she doesn't actually know, and neither does the audience, but it's painfully clear that we're supposed to be suspicious. The only thing more predictable than this setup is the fact that everything's about to get a lot worse for Jennifer, and for the audience too, because this movie just gets worse and worse. So Jennifer's back home now, and you can already tell that she's trusting Russell a little bit too much. You'd think that someone with no memory of their life would be asking questions like, hey, do I have friends? Where are my parents? Can I see a family photo that isn't copy and pasted in Microsoft Paint? But no, Jennifer just rolls with it. Every time that Russell drops some suspicious piece of info, like telling her that she quit her job before the accident or that her family died in a tragic fire, she just nods along. She takes everything at just face value like a baby watching Goo Goo Gaga Skibbity Toilet. The red flags are everywhere, but Jennifer just keeps missing them. Meanwhile, Russell's behavior is about as subtle as a brick to the face. He's controlling, evasive, and constantly hovering over her like a helicopter parent. And somehow Jennifer doesn't clue in still. She's literally handed a mystery box full of obvious clues, but instead of solving the puzzle, she's just like, oh cool, this is my life now. Even when Russell tries to convince her literally that she has no job, no family, no friends, no connections outside of him, she barely bats an eye. It's as if the script is actively trying to make her not realize that she's in a horror movie. Okay, there's this point where Russell goes off to run some errands, because of course, creepy husbands have errands to run, and Jennifer is left alone in the house. You'd think this would be the moment where she starts investigating, right? Maybe checks the phone records, Googles herself. Nope, she just kind of exists. Her curiosity doesn't extend beyond, what do we do for fun around here? Where's the skibbity toilet? Where's baby Gronk? Where can I rizz up Livy Dunn? And speaking of fun, there's this infuriatingly, like, recurring tension where Jennifer clearly feels something off, but instead of acting on it, she just keeps it to herself. She just, like, becomes passively suspicious. She'll give Russell a side eye or get a little snippy, but nothing substantial ever happens. It's like her character knows that there's something wrong, but the plot, the script won't let her actually confront it yet. So we're just sitting here waiting for her to catch up with what the entire fucking audience knows, that Russell is a bad guy and he's not actually her husband. And this is one of the biggest problems with this movie, in my opinion. It's like the plot and the characters don't match up. Everyone in the movie by now should know that some shit is wrong, but the plot and the script won't let the characters act on it or actively think about it. Now let's talk about our good friend Detective Frank, who seems to be the only person in this movie with a brain cell, except spoiler alert, he doesn't. Frank gets introduced with all the subtlety of a 90s cop drama, complete with a tragic backstory about his missing daughter, because apparently the movie thinks that we need another emotional subplot to care about, but let's be real, this backstory is just there to make Frank look like he's got depth. But guess what, guys? He fucking doesn't. To be fair, Frank does eventually start putting everything together after what feels like an eternity. He checks in on the accident scene, digs into Jennifer's background, and realizes that something's not quite right with this Russell guy. But here's the thing, the movie treats this like it's some grand revelation, like the last scene from fucking Seven, you know, or from The Sixth Sense, you know, like these like classic movie like twists, like, oh, it all makes sense now. But everyone in the audience already knows. I know I keep saying that, but this is the whole point. Like, this is like the problem with the movie. Like, Frank, my guy, you're supposed to be the professional here, but the entire audience solved this like 40 minutes ago, probably, because we're like 40 minutes into the movie, and the professional is just now getting to the part where he suspects the creepy husband, and while Frank is slowly, painfully, slowly figuring things out, the movie keeps throwing in these like flashbacks of his dead daughter. Seriously, it's like every time the plot needs a breather, we cut to a short of Frank brooding over a birthday present or staring wistfully at an old photo. Is this supposed to make me feel something? Because all I'm feeling is impatience for this fucking detective to do his goddamn job. They could have done this subplot good, but like everything else in this movie, it just feels fake. It feels mismatched, like it's trying to keep up with itself. It just feels so lifeless. Almost like an AI looked at every movie ever and was told to make this guy seem more engaging. But the thing is, at least when this movie was made, AIs are fucking stupid, especially when it comes to human emotion. Anyways, eventually Frank decides to dig deeper into Russell's identity. After 2 face-to-face conversations with the guy where he could have asked real questions, but he didn't. It's like Frank's detective instincts only kick in when it's convenient for the plot. And once he does start investigating, it's not even that impressive. He looks up some basic info and surprise, figures out Russell is a fraud. Who could have seen that coming? Oh, right, fucking everyone. So yeah, Frank's finally on the right track, but it does feel like too little too late. By this point, the movie is already in like, we're gonna wrap this up kind of soon, you know, like we're getting to the end of the second act, and Frank's detective work feels more like a formality than an actual plot point. It feels like they just needed, oh, we need a detective character, so let's put it in. That's what the whole movie feels, actually. You know what, I'm going off script, fuck this. The whole movie feels like it's like a template, like, oh, we need this character, we need to throw that in, we need a detective character, we need a damsel character, we need a fucking creepy husband, but there's no life in it. They didn't fucking try at all. It just feels like they just like threw it in there just for fun. And we're supposed to be impressed by Detective Frank, but honestly, I was just relieved that he's finally doing something useful in this movie. And then finally, after what feels like an eternity of obliviousness, Jennifer finally starts to get that nagging feeling that maybe her life isn't actually what it seems. So Jennifer stumbles upon the world's worst kept secret. Some very convincing, oh, sorry, I read that wrong in my script. I mean, absolutely horrendous Photoshopped photoshopped pictures of her and Russell. It's the kind of Photoshop job that makes it look like it was done by someone who had just discovered the clone stamp tool and is also a child. Russell's head is pasted onto someone else's body in the most obvious way possible, but somehow Jennifer still doesn't get it. She stares at these two pictures with the same level of confusion that I had trying to figure out why Netflix greenlit this movie. At this point, you'd expect Jennifer to start piecing things together and maybe even, I don't know, ask some questions to her husband, but no, she's still taking her time pondering over the fact that, yeah, something is definitely off here, but maybe it's just her imagination. And then there's the moment where she notices the big fatal flaw. She sees that in the reflection in one of the pictures, Russell's hair is the wrong color. Like, that's the big giveaway to her, but girl, that's not even the fucking problem. The whole picture screams fake, and you're worried about his hair. I don't know, I mean, I guess it doesn't make kind of sense. I'm just mad at this movie and I'm nitpicking. And while Jennifer is having this realization, Russell is starting to slowly slip up. His controlling behavior ramps up, and Jennifer finally fucking starts to act a little bit suspicious. But does she confront him? No, she plays it cool. Like, maybe I should just keep acting suspicious for a little longer. Maybe I should piss off the audience some more. This movie is trying to build tension here, but it's just like, it's like hilarious, honestly, how passive she is in this like unsurmountable evidence in front of her. We're practically screaming at her to call the cops, run, do fucking anything, but she's just chilling, keeping her suspicions to herself like she's in no rush to solve the mystery of her own life. Even when Russell starts acting more possessive, it's like she's trying to gaslight herself into thinking that everything's fine. Jennifer's realization, while long overdue, feels so underwhelming. She's still holding back. Like, the script won't let her fully comprehend the danger she's in. And that's the problem with Secret Obsession. Every time it gets close to being interesting, it backs off, leaving you wondering when the movie is gonna let any of these characters actually do something or react to anything or act like normal people that aren't in a fucking movie. So what does Jennifer do? If she doesn't try to escape or do anything or call the cops, what does she do? She casually sneaks into Russell's things, trying to find something incriminating, because we all know nothing bad ever happens when you snoop around a psychopath's belongings. Jennifer finally gets her hands on his wallet, and boom! Her real ID is in there, which, side point, I don't know why a criminal mastermind who's killed 4 people to cover up his kidnapping of a woman would be smart enough to take his own ID and credit cards out of the wallet, but leaves the kidnapped girl's ID in there anyways. You'd think this is the final nail in the coffin. Surely now she's gonna make her escape, right? Wrong. Instead, she just keeps sitting on this information like it's a minor inconvenience, like it's like a fucking gift card at fucking Starbucks expired today, and she can't get her caramel macchiato, instead of realizing that her husband is a fraud and she's being held captive. Okay, finally, 10 minutes later in the movie, she finally tries to make an escape. But while she's escaping, she finds a body that Russell buried, and then she gets fucked up. She wakes up and Russell ties her to the bed. After he leaves, she breaks out of the chain thing and she finds Russell's car and goes inside and finds her phone. She goes out of the car and outside and watches Russell start to go inside. Now, if I were her, I would probably leave, okay? Let me walk you through my reasons here. Because the man who kidnapped me does not know I escaped when he tied me up. I am outside. He does not know I'm here. I can run away. But nope, Jennifer just fucking goes back inside and pretends like she's still tied up. Things like this make this movie impossible to take seriously, because how the hell can we relate to a character who is this stupid that we, like, nobody is this stupid. Nobody watching the movie can relate to her. Nobody would do this shit. Meanwhile, Detective Frank is finally on his way. After a sluggish investigation, he shows up at Russell's house, but because this movie wouldn't be complete without one more dumb decision, he shows up alone. No backup, no warrant, just Frank and his gut instinct that something's up. He knocks on the door, trying to play it cool, but we all know this is about to go sideways. Remember, Frank now knows Russell isn't who he says he is, and instead of coming prepared, he treats it like it's fucking nothing. And then it happens, obviously, because he's stupid. Frank gets ambushed by Russell. The detective, who's been waiting to go to a serial killer's house, gets taken down like this. The struggle isn't even tense, it's just another moment where you're left wondering why Frank didn't think this through. Watch this scene, bro, like put it on repeat, editor, just like put it on repeat, this is hilarious. Is dude playing the game with speakers on? Do you need turtle beaches? Can you not hear the goddamn footsteps? You have a gun, dude. You're a detective, you have a gun. Russell knocks him out and leaves him for dead, and Jennifer is still stuck inside trying to figure out what her next dumbass move is. Back inside, Jennifer tries to gather her courage, but the movie seems determined to drag out this confrontation for as long as possible. She knows Russell's a fraud, he knows she's onto him, and yet we're still playing this cat and mouse game where no one really makes a decisive move. The tension is supposed to be building, but all you're left with is frustration, watching as Jennifer misses opportunity after opportunity to make it out alive. At this point, we've got a wounded detective, a villain who somehow keeps winning, and a protagonist who's still figuring out the basics of how to survive as a human being. The only thing left to wonder is how much worse this movie can get before the credits roll. Okay, so Russell drags Jennifer up the stairs in what should have been a brutal scene, but instead it feels more like he's just carrying her off to bed after a long night of babysitting. There's no real violence here, just a lot of weird, soft rope tying and some candle lighting for ambiance. Yeah, seriously, Russell goes like complete creepy romantic at this point, lighting candles and giving Jennifer a weird speech about how love takes time. It's like the movie's trying to sell us on the idea that he's still emotionally invested, but at this point it just comes across as awkward and forced. Jennifer, of course, just plays along, saying whatever she has to say to keep herself alive. But you're sitting there wondering why Russell hasn't caught on to her act yet. Like, he's a criminal mastermind, right? He's covered up 4 murders to make this happen. He's not a complete idiot, except he actually is a complete idiot, because instead of ending things here, he just walks out of the room, giving Jennifer yet another opportunity to escape. And then just when you think Frank is out of the movie, we cut to him waking up in a freezer. Yep, Frank's still alive, and somehow he manages to bust out of this freezer. The fact that he survived this is baffling, especially since Russell is supposed to be a super smart killer who knows what he's fucking doing, but hey, at least someone's fighting back at this point. I'm just happy to see some fucking action. Okay, I'm done with this movie. I'm just gonna try to hurry up the ending. So Russell walks back into the room where he's holding Jennifer, takes a fucking century to realize Jennifer isn't there, and then even when he does realize, instead of actually looking or yelling or doing anything, he stands there like he's in an anime doing an inner monologue. This allows Jennifer to sneak up on him and knock him out, which is the second time this has happened in this movie. Like, goddamn, do people not have ears in this universe? Anyways, Jennifer falls down the stairs, somehow is okay and functional, and does the exact thing I said earlier. Runs into the woods. She could have done this exact fucking shit earlier. Whatever. I don't care, dude. This movie's over almost, and I almost don't have to talk about it anymore. I'm not gonna get upset. She runs away. Russell chases after her. They fight. Jennifer eats shit for like the 15th time in the movie. Stupid Russell is stupid, and Jennifer finally does one smart thing and shoots the son of a bitch. Jennifer and Frank are safe now. Movie over. Thank fucking God. No, wait, I lied, because actually the last scene is supposed to be the fucking payoff for Frank's character. Remember that? His little dead daughter? Well, yeah, they didn't forget about that. They didn't forget about that. Holy shit. I don't think I've ever seen a more forced character arc conclusion in a movie ever. This guy did absolutely nothing to earn this ending. He misses his dead daughter. All of a sudden, he's moving on now? Can we please see how or why? Can I have some actual movie, please? Whatever, this piece of shit is over now. We're done here. You know what, guys? Fuck this, actually. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna record this tomorrow, bro. Fuck this movie.